This is the Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, which is rocking and rolling. Yeah, Joey, this will undoubtedly be the greatest episode in the history of Cover 3 or the absolute worst. There simply is no in-between. On interactive Thursdays, where we're taking questions from the tailgate, where we're jumping in the big old bag of mail, where, as you saw from our masterful, just absolute masterful thumbnail on youtube.com/cover3, we are going to be getting a little synergy here at America's Most Watched Network, the network of stars, because Survivor Season 50 will be debuting later this month. We got a mailbag question about college football coaches in Survivor. So excited about that. I was also excited. Oh, also, Tailgate, you are always plugged in on this. The Trinidad Chambliss hearing is going on right now. So keep us informed. I don't have that live streamed. I'm trying to.
Is it on like Court TV or like what how do we get this?
But I need your eyes here. We need focus. We got a lot of very serious and important stuff to break down. We'll let the tailgate. I mean, this is either a thumbs up or thumbs down situation. So it started, I think, about 10:30 or so. Looks like some fan sites are live streaming it. But I was excited because something that I wanted to discuss here also came up in the tailgate in the discussions before we go. 10:17 a.m. College Football Tradition jumped in and said, Mailbag, what do you think of the Pac-12's flex game? And I think that's the discussion point. So the news is that the Pac-12 released its 2026 football schedule on Wednesday. That includes the matchups for almost all of the weeks of conference play, but not week 13. They are calling it a flex week. They have already determined who the home teams and who the road teams will be for that final flex week. Now, let's see. We've got that. So the home teams are in the white. That means Colorado State gets a home game. That means Fresno State gets a home game. Utah State gets a home game. Washington State gets a home game. Boise State will be on the road. Oregon State will be on the road. San Diego State will be on the road. Texas State will be on the road. But we do not know what the matchups will be. As I understand it, this is meant to enhance the visibility and the chances for the Pac-12 to have a team that is the highest ranked team from the group of six. This flex week in week 13 on the final week of the regular season meant to give the conference an opportunity to be able to have a team in the college football playoff. Bud, what do we think here? I'm seeing a little bit of a reaction. Do you think this works? Does this backfire?
The wheels are turning. Yeah. I mean, this certainly could backfire, but it could work, right? I think the determining factor is going to be like, how much weight is the committee going to give to you beating another, let's say, decent to good G5 team? If we learn anything from JMU, it's that as long as you win your games, it doesn't matter if you beat anybody worth a damn at all, they're going to put you in, right? So it's also could be harmful because it sets you up for another potential loss. I mean, if they are truly matching up like the top two teams, like would they match the top two teams week before the championship game? Well, or would they play like a 1v4, 2v3 type thing?
So I think that because they've got already the home and away designations, there are some limits to being able to match it up.
Right. Yeah. Did they reverse engineer this? Let's take a look. So Boise is so gray on this, just for those listening home. So Boise has an away, and who do we think is going to be the number 2 team in the Pac-12 this year?
So Boise at Utah State, Broncos, big bad boys would be one potential if you're looking at this. GJ Kinney and Texas State, maybe at Colorado State where Jim Mora's taken over. Our guy Sean Lewis, San Diego State, maybe they match up with Fresno. And then having Oregon State and Washington State kind of, they've played 2 times in a season before. They could play.
Is the championship game not locked after week 12?
I mean, that TBD.
Because Chuck Rainey in the chat, Chuck Rainey 8036, he said the championship game is supposedly decided after week 12. So for those listening at home, this flex week is week 13. I would kind of a little bit question the motivations on the team playing in week 13 if they're already in the championship game. But if they're in the championship game with a legitimate shot to go to the college football playoff, I think it's a very easy motivational sell to tell them, hey, we're in this league, right? We're probably not going to get as much respect as the American. We are going to really need to to go out there, take this week 13 game seriously, and then win the championship game if you guys really want a shot to go to the playoffs.
You're going to be staring down not just everybody else in your conference. You got Charles Huff at Memphis. You've got Tulane. You've got these other schools that are also going to be in the mix there.
Here's where it backfires. It backfires in 2 ways. One, you pick up a loss in this game, right? So that hurts your resume. Or 2, if your league doesn't actually have a real contender to make the college football playoff, and your 2 best teams are already in the conference championship game, they're not going to give a damn about this week 13 game. They're going to be eyes on winning the conference title.
Mikey, can you throw that graphic back up there real quick? Because Chuck Blunt is in the chat saying that the week 13 is a non-conference game. So,
it is the conference play right there. So conference is just week 5 through week 12.
But it's non-conference for standings purposes within the conference, but it's still going to count on your resume. The committee's not going to ignore it if you take a loss, right?
And being the conference champion doesn't matter for making the college football playoff.
Okay, so I really like the idea behind this, in that you're putting a flex game in the final week of the season to kind of make for a better final week of the season, as far as maybe putting games together. Hell, you could put 2 5 and 6 teams up against each other to ensure one of them's going to a bowl game if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't like it because you're locked into the home road thing. And since it's not a conference game, you're playing 7 conference games. So you have the uneven balance between home and road in the games that do count in league play. And then in your flex play, you're limiting what you can do by making sure that everybody gets their 4th home game. So like we talked about it, Boise State, we know, is on the road for week 13. We don't know who they're playing yet, but we do know it will be Colorado State, Fresno State, Utah State, or Washington State. So you're kind of locking you're not really as flexible here as you think you're supposed to be, or at least you're trying to be. So I appreciate the idea behind it. I think it's certainly more innovative than an LED court. Shout out to the Big 12. But
dude, they had that acid trip court for the conference tournament last year that like made my eyes go sideways.
There is no more forward-thinking, innovative conference in the Big 12, boys. But just I don't know. I think I'm going to let it play out and see what I think. But I do feel like this could cause more problems than they maybe realize.
Well, I mean, or maybe it won't cause problems. Maybe it just will be a juice.
Won't be as beneficial as
right. It might be wow, we created an extra level of complication and didn't necessarily get the payoff for it that we were hoping.
Yeah, it should be a conference game. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why they decided not to make it a conference game. I don't know what the thought process behind that was. Was that just coaches bitching that they don't want their conference standings to be relying on a game where they don't have as much time to prepare for?
I think these are all interesting parts of the discussion. That's why, I wasn't going to stand up here. We are very excited to bring you many Pac-12 games on the CBS Sports family of networks all throughout the Pac-12 season. But the interesting thing for me wasn't to try to break down and predict win totals of the Pac-12 based on the Pac-12 schedule. The interesting thing for me was, wow, this is unique. This is something that a lot of people after the COVID season, for those who remember, wasn't it BYU and Coastal scheduled a game on a Monday and played it on a Saturday? It was kind of like, whoa, wait a second. So I didn't know you could do that. It's an interesting, innovative wrinkle to a Pac-12 season as they prepare to really get back in as a full-fledged FBS conference. We'll see how it works out. Again, week 13, not a conference game, but games between conference members. And we'll see if it does end up helping. I see you, Chuck.
Chuck's on a heater, man.
Yeah, he was here. He was in it today. That's for sure. All right. Let's do all right, I'll go ahead, and before we jump into the big old bag of mail, I wanted to go ahead, and I've said there's lots of different ways that you can get mailbag questions to us. You can reach out to us individually. You can jump into the big old bag of mail, give us a 5-star review. You can get into Spotify comments. This one actually came in this morning from Matthew on Twitter. He said, mailbag question, what is the most painful loss each of you have experienced in person? For me, it's the 2013 Tennessee-Georgia game where Pig Howard fumbled through the end zone. I was a senior at UT and never thought I'd see a big win in person.
Man.
Oh, I got it. I got it easy.
Yeah, I got 2. Go ahead, Chip.
Oh, crap. Does it need to be football?
How
about this one? All right, here, 2. Yeah, I'll go 1 football, 1 basketball. Judgment Day, 1997. Mac Brown's got North Carolina up right knocking on the door of the top 5. Florida State comes to town. College game day is there. It's a late game. There with my family. Place is going absolutely bananas. And very early in the game, it is so clear North Carolina's not going to score a single touchdown against this Florida State defense. Final score is 20-3. Just low scoring game where as soon as they scored a touch, 10 points, you're like, well, that's the end of the game. Given the hype, given how excited everybody in that stadium was during that MAC 1.0 era, that was just an absolute kick to the nuts. Number 2, basketball would be, and I was in the building, obviously, because this is in person. I was in the building for the Austin Rivers shot against North Carolina, and that one was kind of the reverse of what happened on Saturday in Chapel Hill, where North Carolina had the better team, led the entire game. Duke just hung around, and then Austin Rivers hits a true buzzer beater over Tyler Zeller's outstretched arm, and it was just absolute pain leaving that place. So those would be my 2.
I would say the 2014 Rose Bowl, the Florida State ends up getting their doors blown off by Oregon. And yet, when you're watching it, you're like, hey, this team is finally playing to their capability, what the sum of their parts might be. And their 2 best players, Jalen Ramsey just totally slips down after you'd already kind of won first and second down against Mariota, and they allow a touchdown 3rd and 12. He just slips on the turf. And then they're moving the ball, and they're pushing Oregon around some, and Dalvin fumbles 4 times.
And then
the first 35 minutes of the game, and then it just snowballs.
Jameis Winston slip that gets taken the other way. Yeah.
And that team had messed around all year, and it was shoot, on a down basis, they're playing well. They're kind of playing up to what you think the draft went on to show what they had. That was annoying. 2012 loss at NC State, where, and I love EJ, great dude, but just they had it dialed in from a play calling standpoint, and he probably misses 3 wide open guys in the final 10 minutes. Just especially the screen to Chris Thompson. They saved it all game, catches State in the blitz. I mean, he could probably run backwards 60 yards to the end zone.
And on the other side of the ball, is that Mike Glennon throwing a million
the super long neck dude? Yeah.
It was just crossing route, Mike Glennon crossing route, I was in the press box for that game. That was bananas.
Yeah, I was like, they're going to lose this, and they would not have won the national title because they would have replaced the Notre Dame team that got smoked by Alabama, right? Or would they have gone? Trying to think, they might have gone over that Bama team to play Notre Dame. I'm trying to remember. Obviously, you wouldn't have beaten the Bama team, but you would have hung with that Notre Dame team, I think. And then the Jared Payton game that they lost in the rain at home when Ricks, like they just tried to throw deep in like a crazy rainstorm, like and Ricks threw like 4 or 5 picks to Sean Taylor.
Shout out JP.
Yeah.
Mine is let's see. My first year I show up in Champaign. We didn't lose a home game the entire season. Then we go to the Sugar Bowl, and I was there, and we lost to LSU, and that sucked, but it wasn't exactly, I wouldn't call it painful. Like, I was just excited to be there and have, I thought this is what Illinois football was. This is just what we do, boys. We go to Sugar Bowls, and we lose, but whatever. But anyway, so then 2002 rolls around, and we start the year, with a loss to Missouri, which neutral site wasn't there. Then we follow that up with a loss on the road to Southern Mississippi, which is like, oh, okay. This isn't great. First game of the year, we beat Arkansas State, but we crushed them. Like, I remember it was the first game I was like, all right, we're back. We're going to be just fine. Bounce back, rough start. Then the next week, we're playing San Jose State at home, and we lost. And that was when I was really introduced to being an Illinois football fan.
The pain in Champaign.
And really I understood that maybe 2001 was more the exception. And then we finished that year. What was our record? 5-7. Yeah. We did win a couple games. Like we won. We let's see. How many wins did I see that year at home? Let's find out. Arkansas State, Purdue, and Indiana were the only wins I saw that year. I was pretty much watching us get our ass kicked most weeks.
Dave, let's share the pain. That's the best way to heal from it. Dave said 1989 Michigan Notre Dame was my most painful loss I've seen in person. Effing Rocket, classic end in that rivalry. Raymond says getting my ass kicked by Takeo Spikes in a state championship, felt that mentally and physically. Yeah, a loss that you see in person, the one where they're putting you in the ground.
Yeah, in person. So we were pretty good in high school for Fort Myers. I think we lost like one regular season game in 3 years. And we did not play well at home against Lakewood Ranch. And you kind of knew like you'd play in the Final Four against Aquinas, right?
Sure.
And so then 2 years prior, our best guy blew his ACL and MCL on the opening kickoff. And so they housed us at our place. We went back there, took them and to the wire, went for 2 to win it, dropped it, right? And then so we're like, all right, cool. Like third year, gonna get revenge on Aquinas. Pretty good team. Like a number of guys who went, D1. And this team, Lakewood Ranch, came, and we did not play very well. It was a really sloppy rain game. And they lined up to kick a field goal. And I was like, this is like a 55-yarder. Like, they're not going to kick this thing, right? And it's really rainy and just not good conditions. And this dude drills it. And I was like, this is a high school football game in 2002. And I'm like, who the is this guy, right? And it turns out it was Gary Sismacia, who went on to set the Florida State, the FSU record for how many field goals in a game. And he also kicked a 57-yarder later. I was like 52 in the rain in high school is not something you see.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, cool. Like, we played like crap, but we got it won. And they're like lining up and,
Max in the tailgate said 65-7. I forgot our friend Max is a TCU fan.
Oh, wow.
Said I paid good money. And he also brought up a story that I've mentioned before. I was also there, Max, when the rain came into the stadium because SoFi is open air, and it managed to only rain on the TCU section. Robbie talks about G-Man losing to the Vols in 92, G being Garrison, a man whose calves were literally the size of my thigh. Let's see. The Miami rain game. Lots of good ones all throughout. Oh, God. Oklahoma LSU. I guess that's got to be coming from an Oklahoma fan. 2019 college football playoff.
2019?
Yeah, that would be Joe Burrow with approximately 17 touchdowns.
I was thinking 02.
Yeah, he said 2019.
Oh, okay.
Nothing good to say.
2019 was a spanking.
Yeah.
02 was that had to be frustrating because the Oklahoma team was scoring on everybody. And then was it Justin Vincent for LSU who ran all over them for LSU?
In 02?
I think it's Justin Vincent, and there was another back they had. I mean, this is 23 years ago, but somebody in the chat will remember this.
Oh God, Michigan App State. You were there.
Oh my gosh.
That's heritage, baby. That's college football history.
I was watching that game on TV, had a much different reaction to it than Payne.
I know, that's
I
interesting.
thought it was the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen.
So because you had Big Ten Network, that's the big, like,
Yeah.
everyone, and we've talked about this before, but everyone's looking at the score and they're saying, what channel is this on? Big Ten Network. Apparently a flood of calls from across the country asking their cable provider for the Big Ten Network in places that did not have a Big Ten team.
That was just Michigan taking one for the team. They knew that if they got that game and they lost it, it would lead to the Big Ten Network in cable boxes all around the country, which would lead to a ton of money coming in. They knew
Which now leads to them having 3 straight national championships and many of the best players and best coaches in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
Michigan's not afraid to get their hands dirty. We all know this.
We all know this. Coming up on the other side, we dive into the big old bag of mail with a fun one. That's right. Survivor Season 50 is coming up, but what if we got to cast it with college football coaches? We got into all that and more next.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast Thursdays is a great time to listen to you, and it normally leads to some really fun conversations. We got a lot lined up from the big old bag of mail. So, Mikey, let's go down to the mailroom. All right, opening up the big old bag of mail. Here we go. Peak off-season question. I'm a huge fan of college football and Survivor. In honor of the 50th season coming up, and this being a CBS podcast, if you had to cast a season based on former or current college football coaches and players, who would you choose? Let's say 2 tribes of 8. Lane Kiffin would be elite reality television. And who's your winner pick? So we got a lot to chew on. I think that for the purposes of reining this in, do we want to go just coaches? Or we want to? Well, he said coaches and players.
Oh.
It's kind of a huge, wide.
There have been players on Survivor, though. Like, there's been a lot of former college football players on Survivor.
All right, let me write this down exactly again, because like for the audio audience, which for us is still huge. One more time.
Okay. If we are casting 2 tribes of 8 for Survivor, and our pool are college football coaches.
See,
in Survivor, one team wins or one person wins? One person wins, right?
You start off on tribes, but then eventually at a certain point, you all go solo. Like, you become one tribe, but then everybody's competing so individually. At least.
By the way, Survivor Season 50 debuting February 26th on CBS, America's Most Watched Network, the Network of Stars. You can stream it on Paramount Plus. That is 2 weeks from today. Here, February 26th.
See, do we want to do a draft or do we want to just spitball here?
What's the no? What are the no-brainers? Does Lane get in because of his maniacal? Okay.
Yeah. Lane would probably win.
I'm going to say Kyle Whittingham. Like, if there are physical challenges here and you need mental toughness.
No, he wouldn't win. Terrible pick. Horrible pick.
But does he make it? Does he make one of our two? Does he make one of our 2 tribes of 8?
He could, yeah, but he would be gone before they got to the individual portion.
Okay.
He'd be a threat. Can't have threats. You got to get. That's what they do, man. Every single week, whoever the biggest threat is, gone. So they would I don't know what, I haven't watched in a few years, so I couldn't say for sure right now what the newer form looks like. But in the older form, Kyle Whittingham would be stronger than he was based on the way the game was changing in recent years.
Okay.
So now the game's more mental.
No, I think the game's more random.
Oh.
They are so many, like, I don't know. we used to watch all the time. We stopped watching because they would have the immunity idols and all that kind of stuff. Now there are so many powers out there, and there's like twists and turns that it's, instead of it being strategic and kind of narrative where you would have teams and you would go week to week, every single week it feels like a completely brand new situation because everything is changing every single week. So to me, it feels far more random.
I thought that it was more like social with alliances and promises and backstabbing.
Alliances change every single episode.
Yeah. That's where Lane Kiffin, honestly.
That's why I think Lane Kiffin would win. Yeah.
Urban Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like that. All right.
See, I think if you think like the big strong coaches, like the Whittinghams, the Marios, those guys, I don't think they would have a chance to win. I feel like everybody else would get those guys out as soon as they possibly could.
But we are also the producers and we are casting this. So I don't want to eliminate that if we think it's going to still be entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. So
Pat Fitzgerald.
Just for the kind of, I don't say grumpy factor, but
Eli would be good.
Eli was good.
Oh, yes.
If we're just thinking personalities, because I think that's really what we're trying to sell here.
Summerall's not afraid to say some funny stuff. He's got enough of that Whittingham build to him.
He's intense.
I think he's kind of sharp. That could be a good one there.
I like that a lot.
Do we think Kirby?
Dabo would be funny as hell on Survivor.
Sometimes these press conferences, Kirby looks like he's been on Survivor.
Here, a Survivor is hard. Okay.
Strain. All right.
No Belichick. Absolutely not.
No, I think Franklin would be good.
Yeah.
Dabo is a good pick. Just for the personality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. James Franklin.
Yep.
Jerome Moore.
Well, I mean, we're not picking any women, so it would be all right, I guess.
Matt Rule.
Yeah.
He'd be entertaining.
He would be.
PJ Fleck.
Oh God, that would be
PJ for the entertainment value alone, I think is really good.
What about Marcus Freeman?
Just too good of a person.
Yeah.
No.
Human being.
Listen, we are casting this, and I'll tell you what, the Survivor fan blogs will be loving Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, it's about ratings.
True. But I mean, the problem is, let's say Marcus is in charge of one of the tribes early in the season. Do they just opt out of competing in the competition? That would be as a producer of the show, I don't know. Is that a storyline that I want, or is that going to hurt my show long run? I don't know.
So let me see here. Dion?
Yeah, want personality on there. Dion will give you plenty to talk about. I guarantee you, Dion, when they go to the interviews with coaches or with contestants for the solo diary room kind of things, although it's usually on a beach, I guarantee you Dion would be in more of those than any other coach on the show.
Yeah.
Dion just for the stuff he would be saying.
Ed Orgeron would go viral for people not understanding what he's saying.
just for all right.
Also, he's used to being shirtless,
Ed's not even on the show. He just shows up. He's oh, hey,
he's one of the Survivor have surprise entrance.
Bringing him in.
Yeah.
What about Bielema?
I think Brett would be a very good personality for it.
He's a good one.
Shirtless? Not afraid of being shirtless?
No, he's not. No, been there before. Do it again.
Yeah.
Beamer would be entertaining.
We're getting close, by the way, and then we can slot them into the tribes. Okay. I'm keeping tabs on this. We'll keep spitballing, and then we can slot them into the tribes.
Are we not at 16 yet?
Well, I agree with your we can't just throw Cristobal, Whittingham, Pat Fitzgerald in there. If there's one of those three that you want me to throw in, we can add them. But I thought that we got a better focus on what we're going for after getting past the idea of because we've done WWE wrestlers, Royal Rumble. We've done who would win a coach fight, bar fight. This is a very different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Dillingham
would be good. I think Brett Lashley would be good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that'd be entertaining.
Also good looking.
Yeah.
Chip's worried about the female viewership here. He's just trying to find the hot coaches.
Dan Lanning.
My wife would watch. If you got Whittingham and Lanning on there, my wife's going to be watching. Ferentz wouldn't be very good. I like Kirk. I just don't think he'd be good TV.
Yeah. I know that we're normally trying to target the median viewer in Des Moines, Iowa, but that doesn't mean we actually go for Kirk Ferentz on the show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
What about the pride of Tonga, Kalani Sitake?
Kalani would be very good on the show. I mean, that's the thing. I think most of these coaches would be good as far as personalities on the show. Like I think typically college football coaches, they could be salty, which is good for TV, but I also think a lot of them are funnier than most people realize, which would be good for TV. They're like Belichick. I'm trying to think of coaches I wouldn't want on there more than anything. Belichick, I would not want on there. I don't think he would be that fun.
Belichick during the challenges would be kind of hilarious. Like he's shown a little personality at times. Like remember the roller skating thing with Randy Moss and would Jordan come?
Jordan would insist on hosting the show. She would kick Probst to the curb and say, "I'm running this now."
Probst is still hosting?
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
What else would you? I mean, not like what else, but I mean, if you had that, why not?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't give it up, but
absolutely. Let's see. What about Sig?
Yeah, no, like again, there's very few coaches I don't think wouldn't be good on the show. It's just I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to think of who wins.
Fran Brown would say a lot of stuff.
Oh God.
And
we have challenges.
All right, Fran Brown might be our 16.
Fran needs to be on the show.
All right, you ready to hear my 16?
He's used to not washing, so he'd be fine on the island.
Yes, winners get washed. All right, here's our 16, and then we'll put them on 2 teams of 8. Lane Kiffin, Urban Meyer, Eli Drinkwitz, John Summerall, Dabo Sweeney, James Franklin, Matt Rule, PJ Fleck, Marcus Freeman, Deion Sanders, Ed Orgeron, Brett Bielema, Rhett Lashley, Dan Lanning, Kalani Sitake, Fran Brown. It's a great group.
I'd watch.
Yeah.
How would we split them up? Who's the captains of each team?
We almost need this on the screen so we can
Well, no, what we'll do is we'll make graphics afterwards.
Okay.
We're figuring this out on the fly. It's a Thursday.
Who are the oldest coaches on the island? I would make them the captains.
Oldest coaches would be what?
Whittingham, I'm guessing.
No, we don't have Whittingham.
Oh,
we don't have Whittingham.
Did we pick Sig?
Nope.
Well, then who's?
I kind of think we need Sig.
Okay.
Sig's good with the one-liners. Like he's really sarcastic. I think.
Do we pick off Urban Meyer?
Yeah, because Urban's not coaching right now.
Okay, and neither is Coach.
Yeah, but Ed's there for TV. All right. Listen, this is a producer decision.
All right. Do you want to do Kurt Signetti as Kurt Signetti on one team and Lane Kiffin as the captain of the other?
Oh my God.
And now
I do not want. No. We can't have Lane as a captain. We can't. He's just.
Are you Dabo as a captain?
Yeah, we can go Dabo.
Yeah, Dabo is a captain.
Lane is all right.
You got to put Beamer. Do we take Beamer?
No, we don't take.
Okay,
Beamer.
well, I'm saying if you have Beamer, you have to put Beamer on Dabo's team just to like drive him nuts.
Okay. I think I might have a pitch for you guys.
See, Bud's drafting like Lane.
All right. So this will actually be really good. We have kind of worked our way backwards into a pretty perfect little breakdown. Let me see if I can sell you on it. All right. So I've got so far one team, Captain Kurt Signetti in his tribe. He has Dan Lanning, PJ Fleck, Marcus Freeman, James Franklin, Matt Rule. Another team, Captain Dabo Sweeney, has Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, John Summerall, and Ed Orgeron.
Do you think Dabo would draft Lane?
I don't think that he gets to choose.
Oh, so this is a random draw. Okay.
But Bielema with the rest of his Big Ten brethren.
We should. Oh, that's what we could have done. We could have gone.
I'm going kind of Big Ten SEC. Like Clemson spiritually SEC.
North. It's Survivor Civil War, North versus South.
Let's go Dion. If we go Dion and Kalani on Signetti's team, put Rhett Lashley and Fran Brown. Okay. Here we go. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Team Signetti. Captain or Tribe Signetti, the Signetti Tribe. Captain Kurt Signetti, Dan Lanning, PJ Fleck, Marcus Freeman, James Franklin, Matt Rule, Brett Bielema, Deion Sanders, and Kalani Sataki. Then Captain Dabo Sweeney with Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, John Summerall, Ed Orgeron, Rhett Lashley, and Fran Brown.
Lane has an alliance with everybody on his tribe by the end of day one.
Yeah.
He's got like a final two with the entire freaking cast.
Lane votes Dabo off the island. That's how this goes. Lane backstabs Dabo, takes control of the tribe, and wins it.
Like Davo's team is going to be cutting up like crazy.
Yes.
And Signetti's team is going to have like 8 different guys holding press conferences with what they think head coaches are supposed to sound like. Like you're not going to have enough green room time for, I mean, PJ, Fran, Matt Rule, Lanning, Sig, who else? Like
that probably leads to their
James
downfall.
Franklin.
Yeah, that probably leads to their downfall. That tribe falls apart because too many of them all want, like they're trying to pass around the talking stick, and they just it combusts at that point.
I would watch. In fact, Jeff,
I would watch this. Yeah,
Probsty boy, if you're watching, and I know you are, you're a huge fan of the show. Let's do this for season 51. Let's get all these coaches out there during a dead period, fly them out to Fiji for a few weeks. Let's speed run this thing. Let's see what happens.
I think we've got incredible opportunities here. This is exactly what they wanted. What
Ryan does bring up like an interesting aspect of this, because if you think of like the personality of coaches, there are a lot of alpha kind of personalities. And when you watch a typical season of Survivor, it's like anything. There are alphas, there are betas. It would be very interesting to see a competition like this where it's just a bunch of like type A personalities going after each other. Like there might be crimes committed.
They do deal with it a little at like spring meetings and things of that nature, where some coaches obviously are a fallback, but sometimes, especially now with the expanded, super conferences that we have, I imagine some of those coach meetings are kind of fascinating for who too many alphas in the room, to your point.
But now this would be in competition format. It would be very, very interesting. You might find somebody starts stealing signs. You don't know. Anything's possible here.
Also, in the interest of self-preservation, let's not do a segment on this great platform just calling coaches betas.
Yeah.
We don't really have a reputation for being overly like buddy or apologetic, but I just don't want to create those headaches for myself either.
We'll do that for next Thursday. Like, who are the biggest beta coaches in college football?
I mean, like the guys who you would have to classify as betas on here, especially on the SIG team, are just guys who don't like give hour-long press conferences.
Right.
Like Sataki's going to win this thing because everybody else on his team is going to hate everybody else, and they're like, all right, Kalani's like pretty cool. He's just like a down-to-earth dude.
He's just doing his job. Trying to like bring good vibes.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, great stuff there. I appreciate the question from the big old bag of mail. Let's hang right there with this next one because we put it in the headline, so I want to make sure that we address it before we get out of here. Also in the tailgate, got a ton of great questions that we're going to get to. This one from Apple username Booma24. Mailbag. As an Oklahoma fan, I am legally required to ask for your view on the Lincoln Riley departure 4 years later. Where do you all think you will put Riley and Venables in your coach rankings ballot in May? My view is neither Oklahoma nor Riley has, quote, won the breakup, but Lincoln seems like the clear loser at this point, and I'm curious if given a truth serum, he would think he would admit he made a mistake about leaving or not.
Ooh, interesting.
I agree with the idea that neither side has truly won, but then you follow that up by saying that Lincoln lost. That kind of makes it seem like you think somebody won.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can say it's because his contract is just so unfireable. That is the reason he's potentially still there at USC. But I bet you Lincoln is happier than Oklahoma is. He just landed the #1 recruiting class in the country, and they also killed it in the portal, right? Like, it took a little time to get them to where they should probably be. But I think you leave Oklahoma for USC because you know that USC is a higher ceiling program, in your opinion. Not know, but you believe, which I'm sure Lincoln did, that USC is a higher ceiling program. And they're finally starting to acquire talent like that. So, yeah, I would think Lincoln is happier than the Sooners are overall.
But also, like, the recency bias will be like, well, clearly Oklahoma won. They were just in the college football playoff.
Right.
They lost while they were there, which is what Lincoln was doing every year. Like, he was getting to the playoff and losing, but that was even when it was only 4 teams. Yeah. So I don't think either side's truly won anything at this point. Like, Lincoln still hasn't accomplished anything at USC outside of a really good recruiting class. Like, he got close last year. He had a good season, but they haven't really competed for a Big Ten title. They haven't been to the playoff yet. Like, he might do that next year, which could really kind of alter the way we're viewing it. But right now, I would say nobody's won. Nobody's really better off. I think everybody's kind of in the same position they were in when the decision was made.
The tailgate suggested if Lincoln Riley had stuck around, would he be on the hot seat at Oklahoma right now?
Yes, he'd probably be fired.
It's so dependent on, like, would he keep bringing in quarterbacks at that level, I think.
Yeah.
What would he have done with Caleb if Caleb had stayed at Oklahoma, right?
Right.
I bet you they would have still been
a
a lot
Heisman
better
Trophy?
than they've been.
Yeah.
But like, you can also make some fair points about, hey, like, there were people at Oklahoma who said you need to turn over the strength conditioning staff and change the way you're operating on some things, and, you know, be more physical in practice and change some of your recruiting practices. And I think those are all very fair things that followed him at USC, kind of plagued him at USC, to be honest, for a little bit too, and now seems to have turned it around. Like, I don't think Oklahoma was wrong to have those complaints. I also don't think that Riley is wrong to think USC is a better job than the Sooners.
See, I think Lincoln would have been fired by Oklahoma because, like, if you just play it out, like, say they were having the same exact seasons they'd always been having when he was there, and they were still in the Big 12, winning 10 games a year, but not winning national titles, not winning playoff games. He would have now been there for 9 seasons,
right?
Not won a playoff game. And now it would have been 2 years in the SEC where maybe you've done well, but you still haven't won a playoff game. So now the conversation becomes, well, it's pretty clear Lincoln's not good enough to get it done in the SEC. We need to replace him. That's just how the cycle works with fan bases and administrators. So I think if he'd stayed at Oklahoma, he'd have been fired. He might be coaching Virginia Tech right now, guys. He might have taken that job this offseason.
Do you think that
Venables has also had 2 losing seasons? They were 6 and 7, but he lost to Navy in a bowl game.
Yeah, but that was Brent takes over in the situation to where he's the hero who didn't leave them. He's coming home, and we're all still mad at Lincoln. I'm saying if Lincoln had still had the same 10-win seasons,
he would have worn. Yeah,
he'd still be fired by now.
Sorry, I was trying to look something here. Like, I think it was probably a smart move for both teams at the time, right? Like, I'm looking up here, like, how many seasons was Mike Stoops the DC for Lincoln at Oklahoma, right? So, like, the first 2 years, right?
That was his first big boy move. Was after Bob.
But I'm sure he wanted to do that day one, and he couldn't do it because Bob is literally the one who got him the job,
right?
Because he's like, all right, this is the guy. I'm not going to retire until it's like way after the coaching cycle. I mean, there was a May retirement.
Dude, like May, June.
Yeah,
legitimately might have been June.
Like, if your DC's brother, who's like one of the best coaches in Oklahoma history, is the one who's like just absolutely sets it up for you, you can't make your first move. Hey, this guy is nowhere near DC the level like to match what my offense is. I need to make a change, right? So I'm sure if you're Lincoln, you're like, hey, this kind of hamstrung me for 2 years, right? Like you gave me a defensive hole I had to dig out of. This guy was way not our level of DC here.
You know what? The fact that Lincoln didn't fire Mike Stoops right away is why he's not on Survivor.
Yeah, we didn't even bring him up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Yeah. So definitely an interesting perspective 4 years later from a messy breakup between Lincoln Riley and Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley still yet to fulfill the promise of what he thinks he can do with USC. Oklahoma, obviously, with the college football playoff appearance, but still lacking the college football playoff win that they've been searching for since the formation of the new postseason format. Coming up on the other side, more of your questions and our answers, including, should we be on the lookout for more cancellation of big-time non-conference games and more next.
This is why we do this every March.
Major slam! It is a basketball party. It's March! Expect the unexpected!
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. A fun show here. We appreciate everybody who's jumped in live, everybody who submitted a question. Always love these shows during this time of year. Mailbag question. With the eventual playoff expansion and additional conference games coming, that's right, the ACC and SEC moving to 9 conference games here this season, do you see more teams avoiding big non-conference games or just threats to cancel big games? My answer is yes.
I think you'll see more cancellations until the committee actually shows that, like, playing and winning these games gets you bonus points, but like losing them, unless you get completely destroyed, doesn't really hurt your resume. Like, I think the JMU lesson is kind of applicable, right? They still really just look at the loss column overwhelmingly, even if you beat nobody worth a damn all year. I'm not trying to bag on JMU. Like, there's been other examples of this, just the most recent one,
It is quiet. It feels like every 3 days I get a new press release about a series that has been canceled. And sometimes it's like a 2030 and 2032 was the home and home. And it is not always losing these massive games like a Texas and LSU or Texas, Ohio State. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's mid-tier power conference teams that are just very quietly, and a lot of it is from the ACC and the SEC, but they are just sort of very quietly scratching off a couple of these power conference, non-conference home and homes. And I do think it's a direct result of playoff expansion and the expansion of the conference schedule.
I would counter what you were saying by the fact that Alabama got absolutely dog-walked in the SEC championship, and it was still in the college football playoff. I think losses don't hurt you depending on who you lose to. Like, the only reason Notre Dame was still really in the conversation at the end is because their 2 losses were to 2 very good teams. They didn't beat, outside of USC, it's not like they had the most impressive wins in the country. I think you'll see some for sure, but I think it's still going to end up being a situation where, and again, I mean, we're answering this like Chip, you mentioned a lot of these games that are being canceled are 6-7 years from now.
Right.
We'll probably have a Super League by then. Like, I have no idea what the schedules are even going to look like by that point, but I do think that every decision that these schools have made has been to optimize television revenue. Canceling these big non-conference games does not optimize your television revenue. The networks want them. They are still in control of your league. They still want you playing these games. I think the committee is going to be, the way that the committee puts the field together is clearly changing, and that now we've got, we've already changed the rules to try to get everything kind of, I don't know what's the right word, maximized, optimized to what we want for television, to make sure Notre Dame's in no matter what, as long as they're in the top 12, to make sure it's just the top champions, doesn't matter, or top teams. You don't have to win your conference anymore if you're a G5. You just have to be the highest ranked one. I mean, they change it every single year. And I think you hear coaches bitching about it, like Sark at the end of the year, but Sark, your team lost too many games. That's really all it was. Had Notre Dame or Miami lost the 3rd game, you'd probably still be in because of your strength of schedule. That to me was just, bitter beer face. So I don't think things are going to change too much. I think you're just noticing these games being canceled because of the talk around it, but there have been plenty of future home and homes canceled every single offseason. Teams change their schedules all the time. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, no.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I do think it makes sense if you are not one of the very best teams in the country and you are being like you are replacing a power conference opponent with the power conference opponent. I think I understand why it's happening.
Yeah, but they've also put rules in place in the Big 12, ACC, and SEC that are forcing you to schedule these games. And why are they doing that? Because of television. They'll say it's for your resume, but it's for television.
I'm curious to see, like, for these some of these lower level P5 teams that don't have playoff aspirations, how much are they going to get to play a one-off game? Like, not a home and home type thing, but like, is somebody going to get like $5 or $6 million to be the auto win as the P5 rep on somebody's schedule if you don't demand the home game in return?
All right, well, how about this, Tom? Louisville, Georgia got canceled recently. I think that's direct relation to expansion of the conference schedule. North Carolina, South Carolina, not North Carolina, NC State, South Carolina got canceled recently. I think that's a direct result of the expansion of the 9-game schedule.
Are these the big non-conference games that you're thinking of? North Carolina State, South Carolina?
I don't think the question was asking
it's
about
a losable game for South Carolina, though. Like,
yeah, I don't think the questions are necessarily aimed at big. I think the idea is if these conference schedules are expanding and we're seeing a slew of non-conference games getting canceled, I do think that we're going to continue to see that.
Yeah, teams are optimizing for record, not resume.
Yeah,
are those games being canceled because there are already other Power 4 non-conference schedules on their team that season? So again, it's because they've added it, but it's not. They're not scheduling it for anything to do with the playoff. It's just, well, we don't want to play 11 P4 opponents.
Right. That's what I said.
That's normal. Yeah, but my point is, I don't think those games being canceled is a result of college football playoff selection committee decisions.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but to a fan that might have thought, hey, I want to go to do like if I'm a Georgia fan and I'm excited about going to do the Bourbon Trail, for this, like, I'm sorry, you're not going to get that trip anymore. Like that's just sort of the give and take that you're going to get in terms of what we've seen with the expansion of the schedules. It's sensible, but definitely a piece of this. All right.
Again, it won't matter in 7 years.
Tom, we're not going to unpack that now because I think that's going to be a whole episode. We got a mailbag question sitting in the big old bag of mail that basically asks for the pitch, what would a Super League actually look like? And I think that deserves us to really do our homework and preparation and sort of have our pitch. But yeah, we'll be tackling that here in the coming weeks. Let's see, 9:57 a.m. With Ohio State hiring 3 new coaches after only losing 1, do you think more teams might follow this model in the future and not have coordinators being recruiters?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams already are doing that.
You agree, Bud?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Because your general manager is basically handling in your personnel office. However,
well, you have unlimited staff now, but your staff is now constrained not by a numerical size rule, is constrained by your budget.
This one is a wrinkle on an age-old question that we answer many times, maybe a year, but it is a wrinkle that I thought was at least worth addressing. If you put the worst NFL offensive line, okay, everyone says like, oh, what would happen if the worst NFL team played the best college team? No. This is a little bit more creative. Take the worst NFL offensive line, but then put it on a mid-tier Power 4 team. Could you win a national title?
Doesn't it depend on the team?
Yeah.
Like if you took, who's the worst NFL offensive line? I don't watch enough NFL to be able to.
The suggestion in the question was the Raiders.
Okay, sure. All right. So if you put the Raiders offensive line on Iowa, does Iowa win the national title?
No,
I don't think so. But there are some teams where you could be like, oh, yeah, because they're really good everywhere else.
Missing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It kind of depends on.
like Texas would have won the national title with the Raiders offensive line.
But they're not a mid-tier P4 team.
I know. It's yeah.
And I agree with you that they certainly would have.
Because I mean, here is the Raiders' offensive line according to our lads depth chart for this year. Left tackle Colton Miller, left guard Dylan Parham, center Jordan Meredith, right guard my boy Jackson Powers Johnson, and right tackle DJ Glaze, which is a hell of a DJ name on its own.
That sounds like a bunch of first-team all-conference players that they have right there.
So mid-tier. Let's define mid-tier as what? Like
a team
probably like 28 to like 52.
Yeah. The entire ACC outside of Miami.
All right, so I'll just read this. I'll speed read this list, and you guys tell me if any of these like flash in your mind. Zona, Illinois, Clemson, TCU, FSU, South Carolina, Iowa State, UVA, Florida, Kansas State, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Arkansas, Duke, Arizona State, Nebraska, NC State, Kentucky, East Carolina, Houston, Kansas, Cincinnati, Northwestern, Mississippi State, Baylor, Wisconsin.
I also think the interesting piece here is offensive line, and I definitely could be wrong about this. Would it flip if you said defensive line? Would you have a better chance at winning a national title if the pitch was the worst defensive NFL offensive line? Like, is the offensive line going to be enough? And I think that maybe gets back to what you're saying, where are we talking about a team that has a decent quarterback, has decent skill position players?
Yeah. Like if you put a mid-tier offensive line on Washington, a team they were what, 21st in FPI?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then they had Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston, and DeMond Williams.
Yeah, then I think it's like more doable, right?
Well, I mean,
if you gave that Oklahoma team the worst
be
offensive line in the NFL, and like they're not mid-tier, but they finished 15th in FPI, right? Like they were a good team that it was also lucky.
What about Louisville?
Yes. Yeah.
You still have to deal with Miller Moss.
I think
Louisville's probably the worst one that I would accept. LSU from this past year is probably a yes for me, actually.
Oh, easy.
No, they were 27th in FPI.
If I have an NFL offensive line, can I not just lean on my run game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do I really need a great quarterback? What if I just had decent running backs and I kind of just leaned on the run game and we threw when we had to? But I feel like I would be able to do enough damage. I don't know if I would win a national title, but I bet I would make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. LSU is probably the worst 2025 team that you could do this with, I think.
Because then Garrett's not also getting crushed.
Destroyed.
And they had a really good defense for much of the year.
Right. But the Washington is a good example. Because
they had a lot of offensive line injuries. They also lost a lot of guys off the 24 roster.
And while they are maybe not mid-tier among every power conference, they were mid-tier in the Big Ten.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And where were they? And it was the Ohio State game where it was just like, oh God, they're just getting destroyed up front. That changes in that position.
Let's reverse the question. What happens if you take Miami's offensive line away from it?
If you take the Miami Hurricanes offensive line away from
give them a mid-tier P4 offensive line, where does Miami go?
The Cheez-It Bowl.
I mean, maybe Miami is the answer to our question here. If you take an NFL offensive line,
we watched an NFL offensive line get all the way to was Miami, a mid-tier power conference team. I don't know, man. That defense was not mid-tier.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, offensively, you look at like the quarterback was a bit limited. He was throwing a lot of Drake May Super Bowl style passes all season long. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This has been a lot of fun. Let me see if we got any. Yeah, we'll send you off on this one. Bud, are you concerned that all of the NIL money? Oh, this was actually good for the algorithm. Charlie Woods, NIL, Florida State. Charlie Woods, NIL, Florida State. Mailbag question from Robert. Are Bud and Danny worried that all the NIL money is going to Charlie Woods will further hinder Florida State's ability to pay Mike Norvell's buyout?
Oh, my God. No, but I did have some people ask, like, why would Charlie Woods go to Florida State, right?
Oh.
I think there's a couple reasons. One, obviously he lives in Florida right now, right? So it's in state. It is not an easy place for like a bunch of the golf media to fly into because it's hard to fly into Tallahassee unless you're flying private, obviously, which Tiger would do. Two, the course is absolutely beautiful. Like it's a world-class facility. They've had some really high-level pros go through there. Three, the course is actually private. Whereas some schools play at a course that's actually like semi-private, so it's actually open to the public. So if you're Charlie Woods, you can go play golf at Florida State, and the entire time you're at the course and the golf facility, no randos are coming up to you. You can actually just focus on the golf. And there are some really good golf programs out there where that's not the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, great call.
So it kind of allows you to be, because I asked, it's like, all right, what were our selling points? And they're like, I mean, first of all, like, developing the really high level kids, and like there's when they sign one of the high level kids, a very high hit rate, like the guy goes to the PGA, like a lot of that's on him, obviously, but the golf coach Trey Jones actually has been really good with that specific area. Mm-hmm. It's a good golf team, but also I think the privacy is good there, which is solid.
Call. Good question.
So you got Brooks,
Berger,
you got Azinger. You got what's his name? Who's the current younger
the younger kid they just
Clanton,
had Luke Clanton. Yeah,
like it's not like there hasn't been good golf at Florida State.
Yeah,
no, I like that. I did not know about the course being totally private. I personally appreciate. I think university courses are awesome. So when they are open to the public, I do like taking advantage of those when I can. But that's cool. Charlie Woods committed to play golf at Florida State University. Will that hinder the school's ability to pay Mike Norvell's buyout? TBD. But at least now we know. What got them there, the selling points and the like.
Our listeners don't even know that Chip's a member at Pinehurst.
We will be back on Monday, where, among other things, we will. Let's see. Oh gosh,
have we confirmed that? Like, Tom, have you got an invite to come play Pinehurst so we can actually confirm this in person?
I have been to Pinehurst with Chip. I have stood on the first tee and the 18th green.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got married at Pinehurst Country Club. We will be back on Monday, fired up, because among other things, the discussion will be trying to identify the next coach in the next program, which, obviously can be the same thing, to win their first national championship.
Indiana.
We just checked both those boxes, Tom. A fun discussion that we have every single offseason, the next coach and the next program to win their first national championship, because right off the top, Indiana, first time title winning school since when?
Florida in 1996.
Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, we had been since 1996. Without having a first-time winner as a school. So we're going to try to identify who will be the next one to break through. Next coach, next program to win their first national championship, among other news. That'll be coming up on Monday. Join us live, youtube.com/cover3. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.